What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven here with your afternoon snap, and today I've got a bunch of interesting topics that I wanted to talk about in Marvel Snap. We are starting here with the opening, but also, it's a little bit of a pun. We're going to be opening up a bunch of stuff today. I've got a bunch of collector's reserves, really more than you can even probably make out on the screen right here, because this is a 4-digit number. This is over 1,000. Maybe I'll blow this up and put it in the thumbnail for the video. But because of that, I figured maybe I should try to talk about some topics going on right now in Marvel Snap that are important. Now, I do want to say it is not 1,000 collector's reserves, and I am not going to be opening up collector's reserves for the majority of this video. A lot of this is just boosters and credits. So that's just going to be like some background stuff. You know, at some point it just goes on to collector's reserves, but I'm going to open up a few collector's reserves just to start us off here. And why was one of these things... Oh, I guess I just like accidentally clicked one randomly and grabbed a Storm variant there. But let's start off opening up collector's reserves, and we'll say maybe I'm going to stop this once I hit, like, I don't know, a few gold tickets. The first one is probably a gold ticket here, or the second one based off where I stopped. Maybe not. Okay, Silver Surfer. I think that might be Dan Hip Silver Surfer. And credits means we're actually at the start of a new rotation here, Ghost Avatar. We're going to do this for a little bit and just talk about what I'm opening. Then we'll get into some of the other bigger topics. There's a lot of interesting stuff that I want to discuss. I would not call this super interesting though. Pixel Shocker. I've played Shocker like once in a high Evo deck, but it's not even one of the better high Evo cards. And I do claim all of my spotlight keys. All right, there's our first gold ticket. So we'll say maybe we're going until I get like 5 gold tickets or something. And I feel like that is a good place to start. So typically I wind up saving all of my collector's reserves, and then I just open them as I need them for the season if I want gold tickets, and that way I never have to play Proving Grounds or Silver Conquest mode. I can just jump right into gold, and typically like 3 gold tickets or whatever is enough to, depending on how much elsewhere I'm playing in the season. If I do play a little bit of Proving Grounds just because I'm bored or something, that's typically enough that allows me to earn all of the things available in Spotlight Caches, or not in Spotlight Caches, on the in the Conquest Shop, whatever that's called. I'm not really even sure. I think it might just be called the Conquest Shop. First real variant here. Oh wait, this is also a Food Fight variant. So does this, yeah, this counts towards the Food Fight album. And I believe I actually have 2 variants for the Food Fight album, which is kind of crazy. I think I might have a better Beast. Honestly, no, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I do enjoy this one. Yeah, even heroes get hungry. Nice, nice. That is always cool to see, because now I'm making some progress. I think that it's probably at 3 of 12 variants. You wind up getting the Avatar there. And I get Wolverine. Max Grek. I do like the Max Grek, like... Okay, that's interesting. I like this Wolverine, actually. Have to take a look at some of my Wolverines. Maybe I could be doing that, like... Yeah, sure, why not? So, if we hop over into my collection here, we're going to take a look at my Wolverines real quick. So, Wolverine... There was the Conquest Shop variant, and I think these were probably like giveaways, so I have a few variants, but honestly, yeah, I'm into this one. I think this one is my new favorite. We will select that one then. Didn't remember having Wolverine in any decks. I guess I did, though. And what was the other card I got? I got Beast. which I do have a few pretty cool beast variants already. Oh, I don't even know about this one. That's pretty cool. An X-Men team-up variant. This is the one that I've been rocking, but it's not very beastly if I really think about it. It's cool. I like how the purple looks with the infinite border, but this one's pretty cute. All right. I'll make this one a favorite. Honestly, this one's kind of cool too. Oh, why did I click that button? Whatever. Goodbye. Let's get back into opening up. So yeah, like the first part of this video is going to be focusing a little bit more on what I'm actually opening. And then at some point, I'm just going to be claiming through credits. And that's ticket number 4. So I'm only going until I get one more ticket. And then I'm probably going to stop. Oh, somehow we got down here. Interesting. Oh, I did also kind of want to... How many things do I have here now? Oh, I'm already below 1,000. I was going to try to get a screenshot of when I was at exactly 1,000, just for like the thumbnail and stuff. And that's the last gold ticket. I can go like 2 more. But then I am going to... Okay, is this part of a album? I'm not sure. I don't think that it is, though. No, not part of an album. All right, so now I am going to go the other way. I will keep a little bit of an eye on my credits. If we hit the credit cap, we will have to spend some of these credits. But basically, I just wanted an excuse to... I wanted to start off the video with some opening, because that can be exciting. But basically, I have to do this. It's going to take me a little bit to get through it. And I figured there's probably some stuff that I can talk about that I've kind of been wanting to talk about, a few of these topics right here. And Splitsmas is a good opportunity to do so. So if you aren't already aware, I'm kind of like drawing attention to it. I think most people are aware of it right now, though. Basically, I believe that on Tuesday, it is going to end the increased rates for gold, inked, and crackle on splits. So now's the best time to use up any credits that you're sitting on, be it on the collection level track or just in your collection. Now's the best time to get rid of that stuff. So I'm going to claim all of this stuff. I don't want to claim all of my collector's reserves, because then I'll have to play in the Proving Grounds and Silver Conquest modes, which I don't think is worth it to me. But if we get like really close, then maybe we will claim a few more collector's reserves. I might have called those spotlight caches earlier, but a few more collector's reserves just to push us over the limit if I'm like really close to being able to split something again. But of course, I do have like 2 more days as well, so we've got some time. But I did want to draw some attention to Splitsmas, and it's basically all I really have to say on these first 2 topics. I think these next few topics coming up are much meatier, though, and I'm hoping that I've got enough things to even click through. 1,000 is a lot. That's a lot of clicks. Yellow Jacket just put out a sweet video on Yellow Jacket. All right, I'm done talking about the boosters. I did see I just got gore boosters, though. That was pretty cool. Free to play. So I am a free to play player, and there's some caveats on that. There's an asterisk. Hold on here. There's an asterisk because I have a lot of different incentives in Marvel Snap. As a content creator, I'm actually like more than free to play. Marvel Snap has given me, I think, $1,400 in different creator events I think $1,000 I got from making the spotlight video for Sasquatch, and $400 for participating in the most recent creator gauntlet, creator clash, whatever that was called. And I also make money as a content creator from the content that I put up on this YouTube channel, right? So not even free to play. Also, they give me creator gold, which is 2,000 gold every month. If you want to fact check me though, I have never spent gold in this game since becoming a content creator. I've just taken the 2,000 gold that they've given me every month and allowed it to pile up here because I'm more interested in like having a little bit more grounded free-to-play experience. I do have to remember that anytime I go off of this screen, I will have to re-scroll back down to my position. Hopefully that is not too big of an issue though. I don't think it is. So I do want to bring up that I have some biases. Like I consider myself a free-to-play player, but there's a lot of caveats to that, right? There's also the caveat that I've been playing since the beta of this game. I heard about this game, I moved to New Zealand or whatever it was, not actually, I just changed the location on my device so that I could start playing immediately and start earning like the free daily things and also just start enjoying the game because it seemed like a game that was going to be up my alley, and it was. There is like some bias in that though too, that if I went through all of that work to sign up to play the game, then maybe I'm like a little bit more, I don't want to say like I'm more invested. I am though. I'm more invested in terms of like my time, in terms of my like the invested can also mean like how much attention you're paying to it, and then also just like mentally like not wanting to admit that I've done the wrong thing, so I'm like held hostage in the game or whatever. I don't believe that those things are coloring my bias there. I think I do just really, really enjoy Marvel Snap. I think that comes through in a lot of my content, but I do just want to get that out of the way when I talk about my experiences as a free-to-play player and basically how that's going to relate to some of the topics that we've got coming up. Specifically series drops, because I think that the game is very, very, very generous to free-to-play players. And that's why I wanted to put all of those biases out there first. People, you can detract from that and you can say, well, you're not really a free-to-play player, you are a content creator, you are not really a free-to-play player, you have been playing since the beta. I think that both of those are really good retorts. I just want to say that from my perspective of a free-to-play player, do I want more cards in Marvel Snap? Of course. Like, do I wish that I had a full collection and didn't have to do anything? Sure, why not, right? But as a free-to-play player, here's basically how I break it down. And this is what I do in my season reviews every season. I basically say, you get one new card each season. That's your new card. Maybe 1.5 new cards, like 3 new cards every 2 seasons. And if you do that, if you stick to just opening up for 1 or 2 new cards each season, you're not going to run out of spotlight keys. And you can stay free to play, and you can still obtain a decent amount of new content as it releases, which I think is pretty dang good. And then on top of that, of course, that's not counting like the Deadpool's Diner or High Voltage cards, of course. It's just saying that of the 4 or 5 cards that release each season, you can get 1.5 of them. And what does 1.5 mean? Does it mean 3 every 2 seasons? Kind of. Does it mean that if you get lucky, you might be able to get even more cards than that? If you get unlucky, you might get a little bit less. And yes, I understand the frustrations with spotlight caches. It should probably be part of its own segment. Sure, it is, because we're still in the free-to-play segment here a little bit. I haven't really gotten into series drops. I'm really just talking about as a free-to-play player. This model is very good, and here's more to the point. So there's, I would say, probably 5 different categories of players. There's free-to-play. There's people that call themselves free-to-play but have bought maybe 2 to 6 season passes over the course of their Marvel Snap journey. There's people that admittedly get all of the season passes or most of them, and potentially also get the gold pass as well, plus some additional spending. That would be like the third category. It's a pretty big step up, but I think that a lot of players will find themselves in that specific category. Then there are not the whales just yet. There's like bigger than whales. And honestly, there's probably bigger than, oh, I'm sorry, not bigger than whales, but like, there's different names for them. Dolphins, minnows, different aquatic life. There's probably a few more tiers before you really get to whales. And then of course there's whales, but most of the people that are finding themselves in that scenario where you buy most of the season passes, you've maybe gotten a gold pass or 2 as well, or you have maxed out your gold passes. These players don't get that much more than the free-to-play players. And I think that is where some of the big disconnect comes in Marvel Snap, is people don't realize how good the free-to-play experience can actually be once you are caught up. If you are a new and returning player, I'm not really talking to that experience. I think that has its own needs and its own challenges that series drops do need to address. So I'll get to that in just a moment. But this is just to say that as a free-to-play player that only takes advantage of the, and maybe even takes less advantage, because all players earn gold through, right? We still earn gold, right? I really don't even pay attention to my gold number. All players used to earn gold through collector's reserves. I believe, though, that, yeah, players can still earn gold on the season pass track, right? The season track, I believe we can still earn gold there. And there's other ways, like through tokens and things like that, that there are other ways to acquire cards other than just the spotlight keys, which I think are pretty generous to free-to-play players. Might not seem like, okay, only getting like 1/4 of the content, but it winds up being more than that when cards like return in spotlight caches and stuff, though I do recognize lately that has seemed a little bit worse. But overall, I think that as long as you are opening up only when you have 4 spotlight caches as well, that's a big thing. Don't like always be using your last spotlight key every week and continually trying to chase every single card. That is, of course, a recipe for disaster. But here's my point. People getting the season pass only get like, let's maybe bump that number up to 2.5 per season, which I still think is like a pretty reasonable rate. And I think what Marvel Snap really just has to buckle down and say is, what is the number of money that players should be spending to maintain a full or near full collection? And the problem is, it's like, and I'm not even just talking about the season pass card every season, but to me it's like, okay, if you're a free-to-play player, you get 1.5 cards per season. If you buy the season pass, you get 2.5 cards per season. Now, what if you want all 4 cards each season? That's where the problem comes in. That's where it is all of a sudden going to cost you not just an additional $10 or $20, but realistically an additional $100 or $200 per season. And I haven't really done the math on that, but I think that is where a lot of players get frustrated because they want all of the cards. I will say that if you want all of the cards in any game, like imagine wanting all of the cards in Magic the Gathering. It's a little bit copium, but nobody expects to have all of the cards. Nobody expects to gather all of the cards in Magic the Gathering. Nobody expects to catch them all when they're playing the Pokemon TCG, though, Pokemon with their marketing does a good job to sell that dream, and we'll be talking about some Pokemon TCG in a moment. Don't worry. But I think that those aren't expectations that people bring into other games, but people do for some reason bring that expectation into Snap. And I'll just give, I think like the most clear example I have is for Hearthstone. No one expects to have a full collection in Hearthstone. Some players want a reasonable collection, and especially competitive players, when you are playing like conquest type formats, which are formats where you have to have decks available for multiple classes. People do feel that way, but a lot of players dust their cards when they're rotating out of standard and they don't play wild, or players only play wild, or players only play one class. I got a buddy that loved Hearthstone and only ever played Mage. I got another friend, loved Hearthstone, only ever played Rogue. These are real people that I know from real life, and they did not expect to have all of the cards, but they picked a subset, and they got all of those cards, and they had a lot of fun. And Marvel Snap is, it's a little bit trickier without any type of resource system other than energy cost and no deck building restrictions. It means that players feel, I guess there's like two things at play here. One is that any card could see play with any card, right? It's 300 plus highly interchangeable game pieces, and you don't want to miss the one that works with White Widow. Is like a great example where I was not super hot on White Widow, and then what did they come out with? So, no, I'm sorry. I was super hot on White Widow. I was not super hot on Sage. And then they came out with White Widow, and White Widow Sage became like this great combo that was in all of the decks, and then it's like, okay, well, now I don't really need White Widow because I skipped on Sage when Sage came out. I also misread Sage when it first came out, and I thought that it looked at energy costs, not the power that cards were putting on the board. But all of this is besides the point. For some reason, people, for some good reasons, I mean to say, people want more of their collection full in Marvel Snap, and people find themselves less in the position of like, oh, I'm gonna be a destroy player. I'm gonna acquire every card that comes out for destroy or discard or move or whatever. And I think that as more cards come out, we actually are getting a little bit more of that. But also, and I think here's where some of the tension is, actually, really. I think the game is really fun, and I think that players want to play all of the different stuff, and that is an amazing problem to have. And I guess just recognizing that the frustration comes from the fact that everybody wants to try everything, which I hear and I agree with because Marvel Snap is such a great game. If you want to try everything, it might cost you a little bit more, but you can play competitively in Marvel Snap by playing the same deck season in and season out with like a few changes and a few upgrades that come to cards. Now, here's where things get, I'm just trying to like think of examples. I know players that have played Phoenix Force over the course of multiple seasons. Phoenix Force kind of a weird one because you see it and you go, okay, well, is it for destroy players? Is it for move players? And then you wind up being a destroy player that needs to pick up some move cards or a move player that needs to pick up some destroy cards. In reality, there's just like a Phoenix Force archetype that exists in the middle of those two and has some of its own cards that it borrows, and there's a like triple Venn diagram. I'm not sure if it's called a Venn diagram, if it's 3 circles. I think it's probably still called a Venn diagram. Anyways, yeah, I think that that becomes part of the problem with the game, is that everybody wants everything, and everything is so fun that, yeah, you do kind of want to pick up everything, and we don't really see players kind of faction off and try to work towards. There's also a little bit about like, okay, well, how as a free-to-play player can you target cards if they're not coming back into spotlight caches? And I think that that's something that they need to work on. I've talked with the devs about that issue specifically, and some players, this is really only something that new and returning players see. Some players might notice, and I am actually like taking credit for this idea here. I'm burying it 20 minutes into my own YouTube video, so if I'm stroking my own ego with this, I think some of you will forgive me. But they started adding basically bundles, I called them, where you would be offered cards from specific archetypes together to kind of kickstart your collection as a new or returning player. Though the way that they are implementing bundles is totally like a paid feature, where basically the game will say, okay, you want to give us, I don't know, I think it's probably like $50 or something, and you can have Wong and Mystique and Jane Foster and Mr. Negative or something like that as an example. And it is that would be like a bundle. And I'm not even sure if that is exactly, I just named a bunch of Series 3 cards, of course, obviously, so I'm not sure how useful that is necessarily, and I'm also a little bit shaky on what cards are what series at this point, because I have been playing this game for so long. But I do think that something like that is a step in the right direction, where players can more target which subset of cards they are looking for based off what they find fun and how their collection is currently shaping up already. It doesn't fully alleviate all problems, I know, but basically just getting to the point of like, I think that free-to-play is pretty generous, but people want a lot. And so I think what needs to sort of happen is there's a discrepancy on, I think that most players are happy with the value that the season pass provides, because it's not that much, the value isn't that good when you compare it to the value that a free-to-play player gets. And by the way, I think that all of this stuff that I'm doing right now is a huge part of the problem, that they have this collection level thing baked in, and they want to give like free-to-play players a lot of stuff to do, but they can't do that while also like maintaining the economy at a scalable rate, so it winds up being something with like a curve to it, rather than like, okay, what I was saying is I think that people think that the season pass is good value, but they think that paying $200 or $300 a month is terrible value, which I totally agree with. And I also think that what skews it is that $200, $300, there's no baseline for that, if we're being honest, right? $200, $300 is, well, let's just start saying $200 so I can say it quicker. $200 means nothing. It is meaningless in the year 2025 almost, because depending on who you are and where you are in the world and what you do, $200 could mean something totally different to you. There's people that totally scoff at $200 and are willing to pay that to keep the other people afloat, but then also are kind of pricing the other people out because there's like a curve, you know, like I'm thinking like a grading curve in school. And if somebody is getting straight A's, like, okay, good for them, I'm happy for you, and that's great, but that doesn't help everybody else learn in the same way. So I think that that is an issue, I want to say, but like, it's something. How does Marvel Snap allow people to spend? Because I do think that, like, I don't think it's necessarily predatory I think that there is a lot about mobile games, and you could view this as cope, and you could say, okay, I'm a shill for Marvel Snap. I don't think that it is fully predatory to design a system that allows for, we'll call it infinite spending. Because there are, I mean, when you say infinite, no. Okay, infinite spending, there would be a predatory cap because no one has infinite money. But there are some people that just have way too much money and disproportionate amounts, so they are looking for a place to spend it. And it is not Marvel Snap's job to solve capitalism. They want to continue to employ people and make a lot of stuff. And this is, now I'm kind of going the other way. Like, all of the caveats that I brought up and stuff earlier, and now I'm more saying like, I'm kind of like, it's tricky. I think people are kind of getting what I'm saying though, and we can probably move on to the next thing. I do think that, yeah, I guess just to like summarize, I would like, okay, my credits are full. That's a good time to stop down here. I think what I was going to do is, oh wait, we can go to favorite cards here. So I did bring this up in a YouTube short. I think I'm calling this a God Split for Sasquatch. Inked with the white particles flying around, and then the base variant also has these white particles flying around, but I've got additional ones. I think I'm calling this a God Split. I'm also out of boosters here, so it doesn't really matter. And if I want to sort this by upgradable, then I probably, this is probably the best way to see what needs a little bit of an upgrading. And I think I'm going to start by upgrading Agent Coulson a bunch of times. Because I have a lot of boosters for him. Am I going the wrong way? All of these things should be... Sorry. This is confusing, and I normally do this all on mobile, but I don't know why this is... Can I just, like, exit out of the collection and have that re-scroll back up to the top, please? No. Dang. Alright, I was messing around with that before. Apologies. Let me just find Agent Coulson then. Oh, did I just get to... I just got to the top. Cool. Great, so Storm, Agatha, I've got a bunch of boosters for all of them. I was thinking about Mysterio as well. I think, you know what, I'm probably gonna have enough to do both. So let's just grab Mysterio and let's start splitting that. I like Mysterio because it's a good combo with Sasquatch, which is my card. My, oh yeah, we're gonna have more things to claim. Yeah, that's always the crazy part of all of this too. Each time we do this, it's just more and more things. So we're gonna have a little bit of a Splitsmas break here, upgrade this a few times. Let me see if I can put a button on the free-to-play segment of this discussion though. And basically say that I think players are sort of asking for a way to spend a little bit more and feel like they're not just throwing their money away. Because that kind of is what I hear. And maybe that's totally off base, and I don't fully feel. The other reason that I wanted to bring up the fact that I'm free to play first is to like admit that I'm a little bit out of touch, right? Like, I don't really know the exact qualms of the paid player discussion, but I just want to weigh in from my perspective and say that Marvel Snap can be a game that you can play free to play. So sometimes when people talk about how unfair the monetization is, I'm like, Well, what are you talking about? Like, I can maintain a full collection on free-to-play. So what are we really discussing here? This is not bad because we got the green things. Oh gosh, these are just gonna like continue to drift down and down. Oy vey, oy vey. I'm just gonna find it. Oh, it's right here. It's in favorite cards. That's where it was. Great. So yeah, maybe that makes me out of touch streamer, capitalist scum. But I'm coming at it from the opposite perspective. I'm coming at it from the casual pleb doesn't spend a dime, and I feel like it's fair. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't make noise if you feel like something is unfair, but have heard a lot of complaints that I think are like a little bit on the wackier side recently. So yeah, just kind of wanted to, I guess, like check people in that way. This is a God Split, right? It's inked, and it's got a rainbow crackle. Sure, I mean, for now, I'll stop at one God Split per card. Oh, Mr. Negative was a card that I was thinking I could go for a God Split on. It's kind of an interesting card because it looks good. Like, this card's already inked, so I don't really even need a God Split. I could just put a crackle on this because it like comes pre-inked. So that's kind of cheesy there. I'm out of boosters for Wiccan and Galactus. I did want to do Agent Coulson. Thanos, I just don't have enough boosters for, and I haven't split it. So let me just remove Thanos here from the deck. See if I can't find me an Agent Coulson. Yeah, okay, great. Let's start splitting this one. That was about 5,000 of our credits. I started with about 1,000 credits, like when I started the video. So I've gained about 9,000. And I have no clue how many I have in total. We can take a look at the red number and see how much credits and things I probably have gone through and have left to go through. Well, let's see if we can get any more Splitmas miracles. Not quite on that one, so definitely going to keep going a little bit longer here on Coulson. I am thinking now it's going to be easier for me to just split this 3 times, then go back over to the track, claim everything, and then maybe come back here later. So let's stop clicking in these things right now, because when I'm doing this, I can concentrate more on just talking about my discussion points. So I think that's a good plan. I can split this 2 more times, but I actually run out of boosters here. So only 1 more time. All right, I'm gonna have to split Mr. Negative then. Or like start splitting Agatha or something. I could go back to Mysterio. I mean, that's like such a good split. Inked plus the rainbow. I feel like that's more or less as good as you get, right? All right, Agent Coulson, swing and a miss. One thing that I am thinking of here though, how many more? There's probably enough time if I keep trying to upgrade this that it will show up in my daily offers in the shop, because right now the only thing that shows up is Galactus and Wiccan. When you look like right here. Yeah, I already upgraded them for the day. Well, I didn't upgrade this. I don't know why that says upgraded, but I already upgraded Wiccan for the day. And let's hop back into... Oh, yeah, 700 now. So, made it through about 200 things. zoom back up to the top. We are very close to a spotlight key as well. So we're making some good progress. Anyways, now it's time to talk about series drops. And I do think that Marvel Snap dropped the ball on these series drops. However, there's a reason I wanted to talk about my experience as a free-to-play player first, to say that my experience as a free-to-play player since the beta that is a content creator is fine, is because the economy is actually, I think, a little more in players' favor than they realize, and this system obfuscating and making players feel bad while also not fulfilling the needs of second dinner is obviously like a huge pressure point, right? However, you get past this if you realize, like me, that as a free-to-play player, I'm getting 1.5 cards each month through this system, and that actually allows me to maintain reasonably stable progress on my collection. And from my perspective, the season pass is a bad value acquisition. Well, if you look at all of those things and you come into my worldview here for a moment, from that perspective, the series drops being terrible makes a lot of sense. Because if they were any better, then the free-to-play experience would be even better for me, which is obviously not allowing second dinner to fulfill their needs. I do think there doesn't need to be, but in addition to the value proposition question, where people need to feel like their money is actually going towards something reasonably, I do think that realistically what you should be paying for here is exclusivity temporarily, and not straight exclusivity in a way that totally bars everyone from ever experiencing it, because that is only going to lock players out of the game over time. A lot of people are talking about Hydra Bob right now because it was a boring card, and it was a card that was buffed right before it left Spotlight caches, and there's been some other cards that have literally been buffed after leaving Spotlight caches. And it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for second dinner's part, but I think that there are a lot of really awkward points in this system, and I'm thinking about like the quote from Ben Brode when he said that the number of cards in Series 4 and Series 5 should stay consistent, or players are just going to fall further and further behind. And that's not totally what's happening, but it's certainly a part of what is happening and a part of what players are feeling, especially players that are already behind. I think that players that are able to stay on pace are doing like fine, even with the extra card on the first week each month. Now you just have to get less cards. That was definitely like one extra key every month definitely goes a long way towards the free-to-play player experience and towards like maintaining a collection. But what I'm getting at is like, yeah, I really do see both sides on the series drops. I feel fine as a free-to-play player, so I recognize that Second Dinner's position wants to push further monetization. And I also realize the ridiculousness of having like only Series 4 cards featured this month, plus, at some point the dam's got to break, and false promises and all of that, and just feeling like there's such an incredible bloat. And also this little thing right here, random Series 4 or 5 card that winds up being incredibly weighted towards Series 4 cards, when Series 4 cards then just become a bunch of cards that people already have, and makes it pretty terrible. Now, I also want to say that like series drops were never going to please everyone. the only way that they would have pleased everyone is if they said, okay, everything is now Series 3 except for the cards that you personally just bought. Whatever you just bought, that's now a Series 4 and 5 card, so you should feel great about that purchase. Everything you don't have just went down, because what I'm getting at is like, if you push too many cards down, then people stop spending because they're like, oh, why spend? Because my cards are just going to get pushed down in series. If you push not enough down or the wrong things down, which I do think that they did. I think that it was like a bunch of cards that nobody cares about. But again, the cards that nobody cares about are sometimes the good ones to push down, because like if people aren't opening Lady Deathstrike, for instance, because just nobody likes the card, well, it's then really exciting to downgrade this, but then you don't have anyone complaining that they just tried to unlock it and just spent resources on it, and now it's getting pushed down in series. It's a bad example to talk about something like that is literally in the spotlight caches right in front of me, but I think I'm making my point here that people have sort of reverse incentives. They want good cards to get pushed down, but they're also buying the good cards, so they don't want the good cards to get pushed down because that's what they've already invested their resources into. How does Second Dinner honor all of those things? They just can't. It's a problem that is never going to make anyone happy. People are always going to get upset at drops on both sides of the issue, because if they drop the cards that you just bought, then you're upset they didn't drop something else. If they drop the cards that you didn't just buy because you don't want them, then other people are upset. And I think, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. People are going to get upset, and I used to care. I used to care a lot about series drops as a free-to-play player that relied on series drops. I used to not get any Series 4 or 5 cards. I got Galactus, and I got Null, and then I did not get like any other Series 5 cards because they used to drop cards at the rate that they were releasing them. So what I said was, okay, well, now I will just not get any cards for the first 2 months that they come out, and then after they're out for 2 months, then I will get them for free when they become a Series 3 card. And that was basically how the early monetization of Series 5 worked, is some players, mostly content creators, were paying to be able to play with the cards as soon as possible, and then a large subset of cards, of players, were just waiting for the cards to get downgraded to Series 3 so that way they could get them for free and not feel bad that they had spent resources on something that would later be made free. I hope all of this makes sense and is a nice little history lesson on series drops. That's not like, me NoLucksplaining to you is not just necessarily going to make you feel any worse. Honestly, I could understand hearing that and feeling some type of way towards me, which is why I started with the whole free-to-play caveat. So let's move on. I think I've said enough on series drops. Let's talk about the Snap Killer, which I've alluded is Pokemon TCG Pocket, right? I also want to talk about the Bazaar, which I've been playing a little bit recently on this channel. And also, why not Marvel Rivals? We are in Marvel Rivals season. There's a little bit of a tie-in. I think that there are... I definitely underestimated when I got into this game how many people would try it out just because it was Marvel. I'm not really like a huge Marvel fanboy. I would say I'm a bigger Marvel fanboy now than I was before I started playing this game. And similar with Pokemon. Before I got into Pokemon Go, I would have said, if you had asked me 5-10 years ago, my biggest fandom... Wait, how long has Pokemon Go been out? Pokemon Go's, been out, I think, 8 years. I think it came out in 2016. But if you would have asked me 9 years ago, what fandom do I care the most about? And I'm not, like, huge on any of them, but I would have said Harry Potter. I would have said the Wizarding World. That kind of changed with Pokemon Go. I became very into Pokemon. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but now I would say Marvel is what is my favorite fandom, because I really like Marvel Snap, and I'm not that tied to any particular fandom, but I do understand that some players from this game will check out the new Marvel game, and we might lose some players. There are also players that are feeling the pull of, oh, I want to play Marvel Rivals, but then like if I take a week off of Marvel Snap, I have now like lost so much of my missions and my credits and all of that, and there's some really awkward tension there, because being a free-to-play player is actually how you get most of the resources in this game, is just by playing the game. So you do have to keep up with playing the game if you want to keep up with your stuff, and that's tricky when there's all of these other games. Bazaar games take like an hour to 2 hours to play, so that's a lot of time that you're not snapping. And of course now there is Pokemon Pocket TCG that is moving into the bite-sized collectible card game mobile space. I'm not worried about any of these. And I have not played Marvel Rivals, admittedly. I think Marvel Rivals, if anything, it's like an Overwatch killer or a Valorant killer, right? It's gonna eat a part of that pie. And I might try some Marvel Rivals in the future. I don't know if I like really have the computer, and I'm also not a huge first-person shooter game. I played the original Overwatch. I bought that. I believe you had to buy that, right? Yeah, I bought that. That might be the only shooter I've ever played, and I did enjoy it. It was fun. It was very well polished. I am admittedly like a little bit, I won't say like a huge like Blizzard fanboy. I just know that Blizzard puts a lot of polish into their games, so I'm a little bit more willing to try out some things that they put out, which is why I gave Overwatch a shot, and I did enjoy it. So I could see playing Marvel Rivals. And I'm sure that a lot of players will love Marvel Rivals. I don't really see it being a Snap competitor at all. If anything, I think that it is a tie-in. I believe that having a Marvel Rivals season, getting people just excited about Marvel, making Marvel people's most favorite fandom, and getting people involved into the Marvel ecosystem does rise all ships in that regard, because they're like, oh, okay, I just want to like play more stuff with Spider-Man. And now that I like say Spider-Man, yeah, if I could, I got a big smile on my face right now. Like shooting webs in Overwatch instead of like throwing hooks out at people or something. I'm hoping that that's something that you can do. Maybe even there's like a mecha spider, so it's like a little bit more of a tanky character. Yeah, all of this stuff seems exciting to me, and I'm kind of excited about it because of how well Marvel Snap capitalizes on that flavor. So let's move on for Marvel Rivals. I do think that it will take some of the Marvel dedicated Snap players away, but I also think that it'll kind of go both ways, and what's good for Marvel is probably good for Marvel regardless, and I don't think that Second Dinner has to be too worried about that. There's other opportunities for collaboration going forward. Just because the one game is releasing right now doesn't mean that the other game has to die, necessarily. So let's talk about the Bazaar. The Bazaar is a strategy game, and it is... It's a new strategy game coming out right now, so there's a little bit of excitement around it. But you might have heard me just say that Bazaar games take between 1 and 2 hours, and you can play it in like 30 minutes once you know what all of the cards do and stuff, and you're just clicking through willy-nilly. But for the most part, there's a much larger time investment. I'm basically just saying it is not in the same ballpark as Marvel Snap, and I'm saying this as someone who is playing and enjoying the Bazaar right now. I think right now in this video, Just my Marvel Snap fans are here. My Bazaar fans, my dedicated Bazaar fans have tuned out at this point. I don't really like the Bazaar that much. I think that there are some huge problems with it that they will maybe be able to iron out. The game does not even release until like January or February. They've pushed back their planned release date, basically, because there have just been so many different balance issues. And honestly, the game has been in development for a number of years at this point. I think for maybe 6 years they've been trying to develop the Bazaar. I think they still need more time. That is my honest assessment of the Bazaar. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be, and for everyone that's playing the Bazaar, there's other strategy games. There's, TFT just started a new season. Hearthstone Battlegrounds just started a new season. I just saw there is a League of Legends card game. There's other card games. What else is, there's so many other games. I'm going to talk more on this in just a moment, but I'll bring it up now when I bring up Pokemon Pocket TCG. Have y'all played Pokemon Pocket TCG, Pokemon TCG Pocket? Like, I'm saying, have you really played it? Have you played the game? Have you done the battles? Have you done the PvP in Pokemon TCG Pocket? It cannot hold a candle to Marvel Snap. And I say that, obviously, as somebody that has been playing since beta, someone that is very invested in this game as a free-to-play player. I deleted the app. I deleted Pokemon Pocket TCG. And in the past month, my most viewed video is a YouTube short about Pokemon TCG Pocket that when I was making it, I knew it was going to be viral. I knew it was going to catch on and be one of my most viewed videos. I said that to my partner. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then I deleted the app because it's not fun. The actual gameplay in it is not fun. Now, what do people like in it? They like opening up the packs. They like that feeling, that dopamine rush, something that Marvel Snap is not satisfying. And I think that that is a really important takeaway, that so many people are chomping at the bit to just get that dopamine rush from opening up packs, which you don't really get in Marvel Snap. To that point, look at how many collector's reserves and things that add to my collection that I have just been ignoring for so long because I felt like it would take too long to go through all of these and claim them. And the dopamine satisfaction of, and actually the dopamine of hitting a gold ticket and already having too many gold tickets for the season is actually a little bit of a bummer. So I think Marvel Snap could have something to work on in terms of having fun things to open for casuals. And there's a point that I believe Jeff Hoogland has stressed for Marvel Snap players. And I'm not pausing because of Jeff Hoogland. I'm pausing because, I went the wrong way. I'm pausing because I don't remember if this was something that Jeff said or something that Second Dinner had said internally. I think this is something I'm allowed to share. We're going to say that Jeff Hoogland said this. He'll get the blame. I think it's something that I've heard him talk about before. If I'm misattributing this, though, apologies. But I'm doing this in good faith in this discussion on games that could look to capitalize and eat some of Marvel Snap's lunch. That is the point that players lose interest in the game after becoming Series 3 complete. Until they get to that point, a lot of players really stay engaged with the ability to progress through the collection track and unlock new stuff. That part of the game is really, really fun. And I hear ya, right? I see ya, but also, this isn't the game, people. What I've been doing for the past hour, this is boring. There's a reason that I have not done it. I am not playing a video game right now. I'm getting carpal tunnel. What is actually fun is playing Marvel Snap, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, I'm sure, as people that are listening an hour in are probably people that like Snap, because at this point I've probably made other people rage and stop watching the video if you're like upset at Marvel Snap right now, but hopefully maybe some people in here have gotten a nice taste of medicine, or appreciate just like a different perspective, even if they don't necessarily agree with it. But all of that basically, like, if you were watching this, yeah, you love Marvel Snap, right? And you probably don't care as much about this, and all of that is to say, like, the actual gameplay is good despite not having all of the sauce of being able to open up and like chase that dopamine. I don't really need it. And I think that having a good relationship with mobile games, and I think that players younger than me are especially, well, I don't know. I'm just imagining that younger people, and I'm not that old, I'm 30-something, but I grew up on seeing microtransactions in mobile games, and I didn't grow up on it in that like I was a baby, but like throughout my late teens and 20s, I saw mobile transactions. I saw the free-to-play, pay-to-win, and you know what a big thing was before it was even in games. Did have a lot of experience with Magic the Gathering, which is like some aspect of pay to win and that kind of stuff. But the thing for Magic the Gathering was, to me, it was never about opening up the packs. It was, and I proxied a lot of cards, and I was really big on proxying. Even like way back when new sets would come out, I'd like get together with some friends and we'd write on some scraps of paper and we'd see what's good and what wasn't good. And once you get past the collection, you can recognize, okay, this is a great game. And that's a similar thing that I'm able to do with Marvel Snap, except like you can't proxy it. You can't just like say, okay, we're gonna just play. You kind of can. This is kind of a little bit of a secret here. Say you want to test a card in Marvel Snap. Let's say you don't have Lady Deathstrike, but you're curious how it would work. Okay, well, put a just put the thing, or not the thing. What is the 5/9? Whatever, just put Black Panther in your deck. Just put any 5-cost card into your deck. And when you draw it, pretend it's Lady Deathstrike. And then see how that would have gone for you. Okay, yeah, maybe you lose some cubes because you're playing Black Panther in your Destroy deck, or Black Panther in your Thanos deck, or whatever. But like, you can see how it would have gone before you actually commit to making the card. You can proxy a full deck in that way. And there's some cards that aren't going to be replaceable, like cards that draw things or cards that create RNG potentially. But outside of that, like, you can really just kind of like pretend and see how things could go. Even more than that, grab a friend who's also doing the same thing and just play each other and both play fake Marvel Snap decks where your cards do what you say they do. There's no reason you can't do that. I mean, unless you don't have a friend. I'm not throwing shade there, but there are ways to, like, if you just want to experience the game, which is really fun, yeah, you can still do that. And then once you know what you want to spend your resources on, after you've been able to make like a more informed decision because you've proxied out some cards in that way and tested out more cards, then you can get those cards and take it to the ladder, take it to conquest mode, and see what you got. I think that that's a totally fine way to do it. Snap is a fantastic, let's do it like this way. It's a fantastic game in a client that makes people feel bad because of the way that it facilitates that game. And I think that especially the hour in audience here is going to have to agree with that take and say, yeah, I love Marvel Snap. Of course I do. I'm watching a random video from NoLucksGiven an hour in where he just talks about how awesome it is. Let's do this for a little bit. Let's upgrade my Mr. Negatives right now. Another spotlight key. And also, by the way, free-to-play player, by the way, that hasn't been, like, if you're clicking all your stuff as you go along, you get a lot more value from doing the free-to-play stuff too. So there's even some value that I've been leaving on the table here by not clicking through all of these menus and things that you can take advantage of. So something else, another penny for your thought. One singular penny for all of these thoughts. That is just not good value. What do we get here? Still no God split. So I guess just to talk like a little bit about Splitsmas. There's increased rates. Oh no. All right, well, this will be easy enough. It won't make the video, but I'll still bring that up and then hopefully find that Mr. Negative in the next... Oh wait, can I even find it? Huh, maybe I can find Mr. Negative boosters. I'm not sure. I think this will show up. I think this is actually really good because it won't give me any of these because I have enough to make these. Oh, I should have been upgrading this one the whole time. Sure. Yeah, I totally missed that that was already on a blue border. This is probably the actual Mr. Negative I was playing with for a little bit. Alright, I gotta find some other stuff to split because I'm running out of boosters. But yeah, I want to do it because there's increased rates and it's because they messed something up. And I don't really care that they messed something up. I don't really care that much for this part of the game either. Like, no shade if you enjoy this part of the game. It's cool that they tried something new with this part of the game. Maybe I just go for Wolverine because I just have so many boosters from the season that Wolverine was in the Conquest shop. What about Sarah? How many splits do I have on that? Okay, yeah, Sarah could be a good one. I don't have a God split, and I can upgrade this 4 times. Seems good to me. Might need a little bit more credits to get this all the way. Wow, another spotlight key. Oh, I also just went over 20,000 collection level. That's cool. Oh, Sarah's gonna disappear here. Cool. Trying to think of what else to say here, sorry, and also catching my... just catching my breath a little bit, or more letting my voice rest more than anything else, as I've been ranting for an hour here. But I guess to talk a little bit more on the Snap Killer is like, I just really don't see it. I don't think that any of these other games are good games compared to Marvel Snap, really. And I think that also there is something to say for, like, people are mad and people are angry because they care. They really like Marvel Snap. They really want to play Marvel Snap, and they really want to use all of the cool new cards in Marvel Snap, and they're upset that they don't get to. The solution isn't to, like, stop playing Marvel Snap, as awkward as that is. Oh, I'm almost out of credits here. Okay, let me go get some more credits then. And then we'll go back and pop open that Sarah. Yeah, I should be able to claim everything that we just got. Oh, more Sarah boosters. I have to keep my eye out, I suppose, for Mr. Negative boosters, though I do think I just upgraded my Mr. Negative. I don't remember. I feel like I wanted to say one other thing about Splitsmas. I don't know. There were people that were No, I don't think I wanted to, and I think I'm kind of done with the Snap Killer. I don't think I necessarily said everything that I wanted to say on the topic, other than just, I mean, I deleted the app, so I think that Marvel Snap is the everything else killer. I also, there is a little bit of like, it's not, I don't believe it's sunk cost fallacy is the term that I'm looking for, but with free-to-play games, there is a little bit of continuing to do what you've already done as a consumer, because so like if and I'm not even just talking, so like if I wanted to play Marvel Snap today, I can. Great, awesome, I play it. If I wanted to play, let's think of a card game that I've never played before. Digimon. We'll say that there's a Digimon card game. If I wanted to go play the Digimon card game, and let's say that there's a mobile game, or you know what, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh! There was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that came out like, I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe it came out earlier this year, I don't really remember. If I wanted to play that Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, assuming it's a similar like free-to-play model, it would take me a while to earn up a collection and stuff. So maybe I'm just biased because I already have the collection in Marvel Snap, and therefore that's why I'm defending it. But I don't think that that's like totally true. And here's what I'm getting at here. So some people already know like this little part about my history, but I had not played any games in this genre for years. Basically, I started playing like Pokemon Go, and I let gaming take a little bit of a backseat after SoulForge died down. SoulForge was really the last one when that shut down back in like 2016 or so. That was really when I stopped playing any games in this genre because my favorite one had just shut down, right? And I had not touched, I had gone into like a bunch of auto battlers and had fun with that. I did a sort of like reality TV show thing. Basically, my new favorite genres of games became auto battlers and social deduction games like Mafia, Werewolf, etc. And I would say that those definitely are still my favorite two genres of games. I do not like collectible card games as much as I like those two genres. However, I think Marvel Snap is my favorite game. I really liked Storybook Brawl. That was probably my favorite game as well before that shut down, and that was an auto battler. But in lieu of that, and I've tried some other auto battlers and things recently, I think that Marvel Snap is my favorite game. And I guess like what I was bringing up, there was like a portion in time where I would log into a bunch of different free-to-play collectible card games. I would log into them every day. I would do the daily tasks in Hearthstone and Magic Arena, in the Pokemon one. There were a few others that I dabbled with and showcased on my channel a long time ago. There was Faria, there was Duelist. I played a ton of them. And then I started just like logging in, getting the daily login rewards, getting the daily like quests out of the way. And Marvel Snap is like the total opposite for me. I want to play it all the time, and I happen to complete all of the daily quests while I'm doing it. The other ones I stopped playing because I realized I was not playing the game. I was playing some type of weird, like, not precision based, but like strategic cookie clicker where I had to try to figure out how to like most efficiently click all of the cookies in all of these different windows so that I could play 10 pirates as fast as possible and draw 20 cards in Arena as fast as possible and play 30 lightning energies in Pokemon and just like completing all of these daily quests, but importantly, not actually playing any of the games. And sure, sometimes I would have Arena open on one monitor and Hearthstone open on another monitor, and I'd be playing the games, and that gave me some type of satisfaction because the games were like so, like, nothing to me that I was just, like, playing them just to get through them. And then I stopped playing those games. I put them down. I have, like, full collections in Hearthstone and oh, that was the other one, Eternal. Yeah, I played so many games. We're like nearing the end of our rope here, and yeah, is this a spotlight key? Oh my goodness. Sure. I found a spotlight key. Maybe we'll continue to go through this. I've made a lot of progress in my collection just tonight. There should not be spotlight keys on here or credits, but yeah, we're gonna miss some things for sure. But I was able to put down all of those games at one point because I was like, what am I doing? This is not fun. I'm not playing any games right now, and this is actually, I've jumped ahead. I'm actually right here. I'm gonna go back and talk about Arishem and Deadpool's Diner. If you find yourself doing this with any game, with Marvel Snap, with whatever, stop. Like, I mean, if it's fun for you to collect the resources and whatever, but just as somebody who's like now on the other side of that, my friendly advice to you is to find something that's actually bringing you joy. And I'm not here to tell you to keep playing Marvel Snap if your idea of playing Marvel Snap is Alliance rewards or doing your daily quests or like making sure you check a bunch of boxes and dot your I's and cross your T's. That's not what Marvel Snap is. What I've been doing in this whole video has nothing to do with Marvel Snap, and I really want to stress that point because I think if you think that I've been talking about Marvel Snap today, then yeah, I understand why you don't like Marvel Snap. This is not fun. This is not Marvel Snap, though, in my opinion. And that's partially what I have to say on quitting Snap. I'm going to get back to that more later because it's clickbait to have quitting Snap as the last thing on the docket of topics. But also there are other points that I want to talk about within this subsection here. You know what? Let's get down to... This is the top, right? Yeah, 20,000. Let's get down to the bottom. Let's open up for like, I don't know, just a little bit more because I'm having fun. Let's talk about Arishem. I brought this up in my preliminary review for Arishem before the card even came out, but it's the best card in the game for free-to-play players. And it's also a very divisive card right now because it is very good. And trying to think of how to like quickly put a button on this. I think that people probably have pretty strong opinions on Arishem, and I get it. Here's the 2 points. Oh, that's pretty cool. Huh, I don't even think I have a Hobgoblin variant yet. All right, cool. This will be a gold ticket? No, okay, if that wasn't a gold ticket, wait, but that's 2 cosmetics. The gang's all here. Oh, that's big. That's big. That's a green goblin. Get. Oh, cool. Oh, that's a lot of fun. And I actually really like this. So I gotta keep my eye out for Gangs All Here, Craven. Oh, yeah. This album came out right after Silver Sable had rotated out, and I do not own Silver Sable. So I can never complete this album. But I do think I'd like to get Silver Sable and Shocker and Craven just to try to complete this album. But that was some really nice progress on it. Yeah, I do still need one more for this, but got this Devil Dino variant the other day too, which is pretty good for a brand new album to just already have 2 variants in it as free to play. Let's talk about Arishem. I'm just gonna throw Arishem up on the screen here as we talk about the dude. So I'm not going to reiterate all of the points that I brought up in my video. And I'm kind of just like being like, haha, I told you so, I called it. Like I knew Arishem was going to be fantastic. I think that he's more than fantastic though. I kind of already brought up, I think he's the best card for free-to-play players. And do I want to throw this right here? Sure. I think that there's a few more points than just Arishem being great for free-to-play players, which I think is like that specific point I've already belabored. I think that it's like the best possible use of tokens in the game and all of that stuff. So here's what I was thinking about though the other day, because I like making content for Marvel Snap. So does that give me a certain bias? Maybe, but actually maybe not, in a really interesting way, because I really like Arishem as a content creator because it creates unique moments for me to talk about, and I like to put out a YouTube short or some type of Marvel Snap video every single day. And so earlier, like maybe a week or two ago, I was like, oh, maybe I should play some Arishem, because I think it was just actually this week with the new season. I was playing that Thor deck, and I made some cool content off that Thor deck that I think I made like 3 YouTube shorts out of it, but I kind of also felt like I tapped that resource. There's nothing left to draw out of that well from that Thor deck. That deck does the same thing every single game, which makes it not that great for content. But what is content really? Content is fun. From my perspective, there's different types of content, of course, but really, when I say content, I realized what I actually meant was, is it fun or not? And Arishem is just so much more fun than anything else. Showing up and not knowing what you have, even without the additional max energy, which I understand is like really, really good, I do believe I would still just really have fun with the novelty of the card. It wouldn't be good if it was bad. So to that extent, like, it would see less play and I wouldn't be able to use it as much. So there's a little bit of awkwardness there. I am thinking about like throwing one more split onto Arishem. I like this split, by the way, inked out and then the blue crackle, but I wouldn't mind spending some more boosters just because I got them and seeing if I can get one more good Arishem split before Splitmas is over. It's definitely something I might be doing. But content, when I say content, I really just mean fun. And I think Arishem is a lot of fun. There is one other thing that I wanted to talk on in terms of just like its viability. And I think that it's the best card because it allows you to basically just like have a tier 1 deck just by owning just this single card. There was a Snap Judgments video where I just copied the list that they were using, but this is the list of like the number 3 player on the ranked leaderboard right now, or was at the time of that Pulse Glazer video. So like, and this is how many, oh, it's not going to tell me which series all of these cards are in, are they? Okay, yeah, Series 3. What else do we have? Series 3. 1 Series 5. I have, I don't know what Nick is. Legion's a Series 4. Yeah, Mockingbird and Goliath are also Series 5. But a pretty cheap deck, I think. And okay, Mockingbird I don't think you can sub out. You can definitely sub out Red Guardian, though. You can sub out Goliath. And why I bring all of this up... Oh, sorry. The topics are on the screen above it. Just move all of this stuff back to over here. And maybe I'll just... Oh, that's why I moved it over. Right. That's fine. You can still see this. The point is that I've started to play in like some community gaming tournaments and stuff. I cover the community gaming tournaments here on this channel. And part of the reason that I've been able to do that as a free-to-play player is I see that the Pulse Glazer is reporting on the number 3 ladder deck, and it's an Arishem deck that I can build. I think that's a really important thing, and I think that part of the reason that Arishem is overrepresented, and maybe it's annoying because you're seeing it everywhere, that's actually because a lot of players are, 1, having fun with it, and 2, able to actually build the deck where they can't build anything else. So, just something to think about. If you are complaining about series drops, maybe ease up on the Arishem hate and let players play with what they got a little bit. One other thing that I heard some players complaining about is Deadpool's Diner. And I'm going to go back over to this screen just because I think that this looks a little bit prettier. I think that, well, so what were they complaining about? It's kind of funny, but a lot of players were complaining that there were no bots this time around in Deadpool's Diner, and that it was too hard, it was a cash grab, and it was just second dinner bad. Here's my problem with Deadpool's Diner. Deadpool's Diner is a marketing issue. Deadpool's Diner is everything that I want in Marvel Snap. I am going to be probably not the first to say, but I love Deadpool's Diner. I think that Deadpool's Diner is exactly what Marvel Snap needs in a package that presents itself as something else that Marvel Snap might need. Okay, so what the heck am I talking about? Deadpool's Diner, with all of the cartoon drawings and how silly it is, and being in the season preview videos, the way that they talk about it as if it is this cool casual mode, which it is totally not. What Deadpool's Diner is the, to some extent, a very highly competitive mode in Marvel Snap that I have been asking for, and I think that Second Dinner delivered in a way that is exactly what I was asking for. So, basically, it really, it's a highly competitive mode, right? Especially without the bots. And a lot of players wanted the bots and they just wanted to get the card. And to the players that, and if you never got the card, then I understand how this might feel bad to hear me say. But if your goal with Deadpool's Diner was to get the card, then here's what you were doing. You were doing this. You were doing all of this stuff that I just said was not Marvel Snap. The point of Marvel Snap is not to get the card. So that what? What is the end goal then? You get the card, you put it in a deck, and then what? Sure, you can have fun with it. And that can be like a fine goal. And people are allowed to have different goals when they play games. However, I think the goal should be to play the game and win the game and win 2 locations, right? Or have a higher differential and win one of the locations and tie the other one. I'm bringing all of this up to say that, I think that what people did not realize is that the game mode of Deadpool's Diner was the reward, was the actual prize. It was we got a new game mode, which isn't that much, but there is some interesting things happening in Deadpool's Diner that make it a little bit different from normal Marvel Snap. One thing is the stakes and making you really feel like there is something on the line because you can bottom out with your cubes, and the additional snaps. That also brings in another factor. But even if it didn't have those other things, which actually make it seem silly, and those things do make it somewhat more casual. The fact that you regen and you can get to certain tiers and bring back all of your cubes, and then at a certain level, if you're willing to just grind it out, you can win cubes and lose cubes, and as long as you're winning and losing at the same rate, you're actually progressing, which is a feature that makes it a lot more casual friendly. But I think what a lot of players fail to realize is that they're like, oh, I'm doing all this. I wish I could just play bots. I wish there were bots in the queue. And now I do want to say, there were two different types of players asking for bots in the queue. There were players that immediately won at the lower tiers, and then they got to the higher tier and they jumped into matchmaking, and the game made them wait for 20 minutes and they couldn't play against anybody. They could not play the game, and they wanted to play the game. Those people complaining about no bots, I understand a little bit. However, part of the game, you need somebody to play against. I think that there's ways to address this problem that aren't perfect and are abusable in different ways. But this is also like a fine problem to have. If you jet ahead, yeah, you just got to wait for other people to catch up with you. I think that that's not great, but also it's like these people are a little bit disillusioned because they're mostly streamers and they're playing at a rate that is not sustainable for the vast majority of the player base, and they're trying to rush the content like the second it comes out. So those players aside, the other people complaining against bots were like, this is so impossible. This is a zero-sum game. Any cubes that I lose, or any cubes that I win, are taken from another player, so it's impossible for anyone to climb. We need bots in the queue. Okay, so let's talk this out a little bit further. We need bots so that we can progress, so that we can get the card, and then we can put that card in our deck. And then what do we do with that card in our deck? We go onto the ranked ladder, or we go into conquest mode, which are like a lot more casual because like the ranked ladder has bots. Conquest mode has no fixed matchmaking, so you can play against anyone. And there's no stakes because you can play conquest mode as many times as you want every single day. There's a little bit like you can lose progression, but you can always start. I mean, I don't even play silver and proving grounds, and if I really need another gold ticket, I just open another box and, oh, look at that, I have another gold ticket. And like, what are the stakes? What are the stakes in conquest mode? For a lot of players, there's zero stakes on the ranked ladder too, because once they hit infinite, they stop caring. And I'm like, well, actually, I'm not even infinite right now because I haven't had that much time to play this week. So, bad example, but typically I'm in like the top 2,000 post infinite leaderboard, let's say, right? But when I've been higher, like, I didn't care if I was like top 20,000 or top 21,000. What's the difference to me? So just snap and move on. But okay, conquest mode, no stakes. Ladder, there's bots or there's no stakes. I think that Deadpool's Diner actually added a game mode that you have to care about, that has some stakes, and that's a really good thing because you work to get this card, this King Eitri, right? And then sure, like you can, it wasn't even that good, but you could play it, but it's like, I guess what I'm getting at is, I mean, it's partially what I was saying before. If you're like just doing it for the progression and all you care about is like seeing this number go up and seeing your collection progress go up, then you're not really playing Marvel Snap. Whereas like me, the sophisticated Deadpool's Diner consumer, and I'm saying that tongue in cheek, right? But I'm realizing that Deadpool's Diner is the actual mode, and to that point, the fact that it was hard to get the card means that now there is a use to get the cards. And I don't belabor this point really. And here's where part of, and maybe something that even should have come up in like the free-to-play section, I don't think it's hard to get infinite. I don't think it's hard to get an infinity border, and maybe to those 2 points I'm a little bit out of touch. I know that there's like somebody commented the other day and said that they had one infinity border. They get nervous because it does seem like there's a lot on the line when they're going for like an infinity border. And I definitely get that. And I just think that there's a lot of luck in the infinite conquest because it more comes down to just who the matchmaking randomly pairs you against. Where did I open up that collector's reserve? Because I should open up the spaces around it too. Yeah. We can pretty safely like open up both of these. Let's maybe go one more in this direction. Credits. So that means this is definitely a cosmetic. Nice. Here comes a fastball special. Oh, and it looks like that was actually the bottom of my rank. Okay. So if we know that, that means that between this one, and this one, there's another gold ticket in there somewhere. So I'm going to stop because I've got enough gold tickets for the season for sure. Hopefully I made this point on Deadpool's Diner. I think I kind of talked around it a little bit. Basically, I believe that what people were missing about Deadpool's Diner, because they were so worried about whether or not they were going to get the card, they did not realize that what they were like trying to rush through is the content. Let's put it like this way. Let's imagine you are like playing some type of like RPG, and let's just say like you use a glitch and you are able to sneak through the boss and get this armor. Let's say there's a glitch where you can do this against every single boss and get their loot without having to fight any of them. Okay, so maybe you spend a little bit of time grinding this and you never have to fight any of these bosses, and you get to suit up with all of the best loot in the game. And then you have the best loot. And then what do you do with that best loot? Do you then go fight the bosses? Well, if you now fight the bosses, all you're going to do is get that loot that you already found another way to get. And so you've denied yourself like all of this content, which is actually much more valuable than the loot, because you are trying to play a game for entertainment. You are not trying to just get the loot, which doesn't actually do you any good if your whole goal is to skip over the content that the loot is supposed to be applicable for. I think that was on the fly a little bit, but I think that that's a pretty good analogy for how I feel reading about people that were upset that there weren't more bots in Deadpool's Diner. I think that Marvel Snap, one of the reasons it keeps me engaged is because there is a lot of content that keeps you staying busy. I do have Deadpool's Diner videos that I want to, or like gameplay footage that I want to put out. There was like all of my games towards the end of my climb. I wanted to make a video on that. I have not put that out yet because there's just, I've been pretty busy with stuff outside of YouTube and Marvel Snap and stuff, especially with the holidays, all that going on. Marvel Snap, I'm just kind of like reading. So I've got this topics list, but then also like I've got a bunch of written notes on my phone for things I wanted to hit on. So I'm just kind of like reading through that here now to round us out. But yeah, Marvel Snap does like a great job at keeping players busy because there's always something. There's a new card each week, sometimes multiple new cards each week, most of the time. And there's these game modes, and then there's featured locations. All of my content used to revolve around featured locations. I don't even talk about featured locations anymore because the shelf life on those are like so quick, and also they just like happen and then they're gone, and like I can't even, there's always so much happening that I am like constantly have something to do in Marvel Snap, which is great, but also it can certainly be a lot. I do have the speaking of like Luna Snow right here. Should I open up and try to get Luna Snow an hour and 40 minutes into this video? I do think it's good. I haven't really even thought about this season yet and which cards I want to prioritize, but tomorrow's video is probably going to be a spotlight review for the season, a spotlight tier list. Those videos always do super well, so I do want to put that out. It's difficult content, and I'll say more about this tomorrow. It's difficult content to make with like the idea that these cards have different values because they're different series and they might be dropped or they might have just dropped and things like that. And I think I just have to rate the cards and not worry about the series because it's too much of a headache to like take all of that into account, but then I don't feel like I'm doing a good enough job, and I want to make sure I'm actually advising players on how they should be spending their resources. So just to say, like, I put a lot of time and I want to make sure that I have those videos out as something that players can rely on. I want to be a reliable narrator for those videos, but I do recognize that I'm a little bit behind typically. I always feel behind in Snap content. Some other things as far as I think I can move on to quitting Snap. So some other things as far as the bots are concerned. I have said this a few times, probably on Twitter or on the official Marvel Snap Discord. I believe that what will make me personally quit Marvel Snap, and this is not to be said that this like has to be anyone else's opinion, but I think you'll find that it's pretty consistent with the points that I've made throughout this video. What will make me quit Marvel Snap is the bots in the game. I really do not like the bots. I don't like the bots as a content creator. When I was first starting out, I did not always recognize when I was playing against bots, and then I would upload videos with bots in them, and all of the comments would be like, oh, that's a bot, you're an idiot. And now I say that something's a bot even if I'm not like totally 100% sure that I am, and I don't upload a lot of cool things just because bots happen and they're in there. Bots to me just kind of feel like a waste of time. I'm here to play a multiplayer game. I'm not here to make my ranked points go up. You can see I don't care that much about my rating. I mean, we're only a week into the season. This is another pet peeve of mine when people say that they're like behind in progress. I'm ahead. I'm ranked 88, less than a week into the season. I recognize that like everyone has different experiences on that climb. What do we get this down to? Under 400? Is that a 300 or a 254? Not sure. Who cares? Why did I bring that up? Oh yeah, bots and them being something that annoys me. I don't like, so there was like a Mario Kart app that gave you a bunch of bots, and all of the bots were like clearly like you'd show up and you'd play your first game and you'd win, and there was no lag, and the names would be all sorts of names. There would be names like, you know, Mario Lover, but then there would also be names like Soccer Kid and Wizard Guy and King of Azeroth and Frodo, and then there would be names that were in languages that I couldn't read, and it was because they were ripping players' names and then using those to populate and make it feel like you were playing against real players. Bring that up because I felt like that was like really, really dishonest. That really irked me. That game came out years ago. I'm talking about a Mario Kart mobile game. It came out years ago. Really hated that. And I play Marvel Snap despite the bots. I do try to get to Infinite quickly so that way I don't have to deal with bots. And it's part of the reason that I don't put up that much pre-Infinite content. I actually didn't put up any pre-Infinite content last season. I do have some clips that I'm sitting on. I made a brand new deck, and I never showcased it. So I do want to put out those videos at some point, and I think that the deck still works for the most part, so maybe I'll have that out at some point. I've got like 5, more than that. I've got like 10 videos that I could make on Marvel Snap on like just old content that and I'm talking about full videos, not just YouTube shorts. I'm doing the opposite of quitting, is what I was kind of getting at too at the tail end of the Deadpool's Diner section. There is so much stuff happening in Marvel Snap, and I am having a lot of fun, like, playing and consuming all of it. I think that it's good content, and, like, I'm not saying good content as a content creator. I'm saying that Marvel Snap does a good job to introduce a lot of things into the game I find fun. And if anything else, this video is, or if nothing else, this video is like sort of a love letter to Marvel Snap and addressing some of the common complaints that I see that are unfounded. I do also want to say this, that as a content creator, do I have a vested interest in keeping Marvel Snap alive? And if Marvel Snap is paying me, do I have a vested interest in keeping Marvel Snap alive? And yes, I do. I want to like be honest about those biases. But also, I really just am honest in saying that I love playing this game, and I love so many of the things that it gives us. And so on the topic of quitting Snap, I might be playing more Snap soon. And in the coming year, I was thinking about trying to upgrade my PC and trying to start streaming more games, maybe, which would include Snap. It would also include the Bazaar. Maybe it would include Marvel Rivals if I get a much better PC. I'm not totally sure on that, but I am thinking that I'd maybe like to start streaming more. And one aspect of Snap that I might quit being free to play. Because I think that if I'm going to go further into content creation, then I might just like having access to every card as it comes out. And it would probably be a good investment for me. That will make me a little bit disillusioned with the average player. I think that, like, if you look at this, 22, I am true to my word, and I only get, like, basically the cards that I say I'm going to get in my season review video each season, and that's allowed me to stockpile a decent amount of resources. If I claimed all of this stuff, there's still between 300 and 400 collector's reserves here. I'm sure I could get some more spotlight keys even, as we saw throughout this video. But I might stop being free to play because I might go more towards the, and I'm not totally sold on that either way. I'll let you know. I like being a holdout and a free to play content creator, and I like being able to speak from that perspective a little bit more honestly. But, you know, with this asterisk here, I might not even be fairly speaking as a free-to-play player because I don't know how to speak from the new and returning player perspective. Maybe I'll see how that shakes out. I do think that there's going to be some more changes down the pipeline that hopefully aren't just empty promises, hopefully are things that allow more players to appreciate the game, but also maybe some of the things that I've discussed in this video could allow more players to appreciate the game. I have some other notes here on some other things that I think would be fun to talk about, but I think for today, for an hour and 45 minutes, I've said enough. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.